Thank you, Speaker. As everybody knows, the electorate of Wollondilly covers two council areas. It covers Wollondilly and Wingecarribee. Tonight I particularly want to talk about the Wollondilly Shire. The current population of Wollondilly Shire is about 60,000 and that number continues to grow every year. We are set to almost double the population to over 98,000 by 2041. As more families move into the area, they're looking for a place to live, to work and most importantly, a place to educate their children. Yet when we look at the educational infrastructure in Wollondilly, it is clear that we are falling short. Let's take a step back and consider the Greater Sydney metropolitan area. The Greater Sydney metropolitan area covers around 12,500 square kilometres and it's made up of 33 local government areas. Within this region, there are 207 public high schools, providing education to thousands of students across the metropolitan area. Now focus in on one of those 33 local government areas in the Sydney metro area, Wollondilly Shire, in my electorate of Wollondilly. It is an area of over 2,500 square kilometres. That means Wollondilly Shire alone makes up 1/5 of the entire area of the Greater Sydney Metro. And out of those 207 public high schools, guess how many are located in Wollondilly? For those of you who haven't heard me speak on this matter before, it may surprise or indeed astound you to hear there is only one. So those other 206 high schools are distributed between the remaining 80% of the Sydney Metro land area, and Wollondilly Council area only gets one, Picton High School. The population will be heading towards 100,000 by 2041, and yet no second high school is planned. It doesn't seem logical, does it? How can a region of the size of Wollondilly with a growing population have just one high school? But sadly, this is a reality we face. For decades, Wollondilly has been neglected politically. It's been pushed to the bottom of the list when it comes to delivery of essential infrastructure and services, including education. We've seen it time and time again, and education is no exception. The Picton bypass, for an example, is an essential road bypass, has been promised for over 30 years, and it was only last year that the government finally began to deliver on that promise. Education, in particular, high schools, have suffered the same neglect and delay. 20 years ago, a high school was promised as part of the master planning for Wilton, a new development in Wilton that's set to house over 10,000 new homes. Wollondilly is undeniably delivering on the state government's promise for housing and doing the heavy lifting by providing homes that help relieve the housing crisis. New suburbs like Wilton are filling up with young families with children who will need education. Since this promise, students who were then in kindergarten are now finishing year 12 and still no second high school in sight. I really hope their children finally get what their parents were promised. We've got primary schools in all these new areas, but when it comes to public high schools, there's silence. We have a development full of young families, but no high school in sight. Families are being forced to send their children outside the area for education, creating unnecessary travel burdens and stress. It's a problem that's been building for years, and it's only going to get worse as the population continues to rise. We are included in the Sydney metro area, but we are not prioritised as much as other areas due to weak representation of the past. As an independent, I'm here to change that for the betterment of the residents who live in Wollondilly or those who are choosing to move here and hoping to raise families there. It's time to stop letting Wollondilly be an afterthought. The state government needs to recognise we're not just an area for housing development. We are a community that deserves the same level of educational infrastructure as any other part of Sydney. It's simply not good enough for our students to be left behind, to have to travel long distances for a high school education that should be available to them right in their own backyard. Building another high school in Wollondilly is not just a matter of convenience. It's about recognising the growing needs of the area on the fringe of the metropolitan area. Areas that are growing, changing and crying out for infrastructure to equal which is delivered to our neighbouring electorates. While the lack of a second high school is currently a major concern, if action is not taken soon, the population growth will see this snowball into a public education emergency. We can't keep up with the housing demand without investing in our schools and the future of the next generation. Thank you.